Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage your hosts, DJ Wheat and Seltzer.
The Tavern of Champions is now officially open. Rachel, you walk so much faster than I do, and that's usually not the case. Welcome to day 2 of BlizzCon 2014 and the conclusion of the Hearthstone World Championships. I'm DJ Wheat, and I'll tell you what, Rachel, it has been fantastic here over the last day. It's a day like today where I wish BlizzCon was 3 or 4 days.
I know, it's so sad to think that we're going to be wrapping up today, but it's so exciting. That's why I was running so fast, because I cannot wait to get this started, and I cannot wait to see these matches.
I have to agree. I mean, we have 12 players is who we started out with, and we're now down to 4, the finalists. We're going to see the semifinals and the grand finals today, and of course, they're playing for a lot of cash and a cool trophy.
Absolutely, Marcus. These 4 players representing China, Korea, and USA are playing for that ultimate prize pot. $250,000 on the line, $100,000 for our first place finisher.
And we did the math yesterday, and we did determine that that's about 80,000 Hearthstone packs. So, of course, when, Goblins versus Gnomes finally comes out, these guys will be able to not only say, I'm Hearthstone World Championship, but I also completed a gold Goblins versus Gnomes deck already. So
priorities, Marcus.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know. We talked to these guys about what they're going to spend their money. I guarantee you a little of the, a little bit of it will be put aside for some more Hearthstone cards for sure.
Absolutely, but it's not just about the players that are here, Marcus. It's actually about you guys watching here in the audience. We're so glad to see you, and everyone watching at home. If you want to join the conversation, if you want to hang out with us, all you got to do is hop on Twitter, tweet at us at #PlayHearthstone, use the hashtag BlizzCon, and any questions you have for the players, any comments you have for the event, anything you want to say to us, just join us.
Please, actually got some great questions from people yesterday. A lot of people just showing support for their favorite players, and it's your way to connect with us. You can tweet at us, use that BlizzCon hashtag. We'd love to hear from you. Also, there's still time to get that virtual ticket. If you head on over to blizzard.com, of course, you have access to the remaining panels today, all of the tournaments, and you can still get those in-game items. So a bunch of different ways to enjoy the final day of BlizzCon 2014. Now, what do we've got for you today here on stage? We've only got 3 matches, but they are 3 very important matches. Semifinal number 1, semifinal number 2, and of course, by deductive reasoning, the grand finals, where one person is going to walk away with the $100,000. So short and sweet today, but it's kind of cool because that means that you'll be able to experience all the finals that BlizzCon has to offer this year.
That's right, Marcus. And now, we're all Hearthstone players. We like to play on ladder. But things are a little bit different here for the people who play in our tournament. We have something called Last Hero Standing. They come with 4 decks, they play with 3, and the final winner of those 3 decks. Actually, let's check out the video. I feel like I'm not explaining it right. We have a great video that's going to tell you just how it happens.
Last Hero Standing is a tournament format created for competitive Hearthstone play. Let me explain. Each player begins with a set number of decks using a unique class for each deck. For example, a player can have a warrior deck, a priest deck, and a warlock deck, but not 2 different warlock decks. When a match begins, each player selects their first deck without telling the other player which one they've chosen to play with.
Kranich versus Uther.
When the first game ends, the losing player's deck has been eliminated, and they must choose from their remaining decks for Game 2. The winning player continues playing with the same deck they won with in Game 1. Once a player has eliminated all of their opponent's decks, they have won the match and will move on in the tournament. Some tournaments allow for an additional veto step, which takes place before a match begins. For example, players may submit 4 classes, and their opponent chooses to preemptively eliminate one of those classes from the match entirely. Now that you know the format, try competing in a weekly cup online or at a fireside gathering near you.
So now that we know a little bit about how the tournament is being played, it's time to introduce our semifinalists, have a few words with them, and then let them do some Hearthstone battle. So our first semifinalist, let's bring him to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause here to the Tavern of Champions for Tiddler.
And today, Tiddler's opponent in the semifinals, hailing from Korea, please welcome to the stage, Kranich. Kranich, you're looking excited. You look like you have some energy. Are you ready to take on this match?
Yeah, I'm pretty much proud of myself, and I bet I can do well here.
You bet you can do.
Actually, I just slept a lot. Yeah, because the schedule yesterday was pretty much tired, and I just want to rest. And I just try to figure out what will be going on here, and what decks to ban and use. And that's it.
Are you prepared to take on Tiddler?
Maybe. Okay, but I think I can play well.
I think you can play well too. How does Tiddler feel, Marcus?
Well, we're about to find out. Tiddler, it seems like we were just here, yesterday. I mean, we were. But you played the first quarterfinal, which means that you had kind of some extra time to prepare. Did you just watch the games, study your potential opponents? What did you do?
I watched their game and think what card I should ban, and I try my best to beat them.
So you're one game away from the finals, obviously preparing for this one you're mentally, but are you nervous? Are you excited? This is a very, very cool tournament and exciting time. How are you feeling right now?
Of course, I'm very excited and a little bit nervous, but I think I can do my best to perform well. And perform very well. Okay.
All right, well, we were checking in on Twitter, and you've got a lot of fans out here who are going to be rooting for you, so good luck. Players, you could go ahead and take your booze. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about ready to get started with semifinal number 1. Of course, to help us narrate the story here at the Tavern of Champions, we've got some very handsome broadcasters up here. Guys, are you ready for the final day of the Hearthstone World Championships?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You're not too bad yourself, DJ Lee. You're looking mighty handsome in your Hearthstone attire. And of course, Rachel, she always looks good. Guys, how are we feeling today? It's day 2 of the Hearthstone World Championships, and this is where it all comes down to.
Oh man, I'm so excited to be here. I was thinking if there is any place in the world where I'd like to be right now, no other place. I would love to be here, and I'm here, and I'm just feeling great.
All right, well, Maz, you got to see almost all of the action today. We do have another match featuring your teammate, but before we get to that, we have these 2 semifinalists, one who you actually played in another championship run at IEM Shenzhen. How are you feeling about the first match for the semifinals?
Oh, I think these 2 are definitely very good players, one of the top tiers, and they're going to be going all out on it, really. Tiddler has been shown that he's one of the top Chinese players, and Kranich, wow, his web spinners are crazy, so
That's
I expect
right.
to see something there if his Hunters doesn't get banned. But yeah, overall, very excited.
Yeah, these guys have gone through a lot to get to where they are. If you're tuning in for the first time throughout this entire tournament, it's been quite the journey as we take a look. They came down to 16 players after a qualification stage twice over to get our top 16. And then Tiddler, Celestial, and Kranich both advanced first place in the group, going on to win their round of 8 matches. And it was a pretty good round of players. You see guys like Number Guy, Green Sheep from Europe, even Frozen Ice from Taiwan. These are all players that you expected to be strong contenders to get out of groups, and yet they fell out pretty early. So overall, it was a very surprising round of 16, and at the same time, the top 4, I'm pleasantly surprised to see a Korean like Kranich be able to get through everybody.
Well, I have to say that there is no one in this tournament who's not deserving of becoming world champion. All those players really work hard to get here, to qualify, to play in the round of 16, and we've seen some magnificent performance from all of the players. Our top 4 is just fantastic guys. Their game is on a very high level, and I'm super excited to see what they are going to play and how they are going to play those decks.
All right, let's take a look at the brackets as well, because that was just the round of 16 that we mentioned. Yesterday, we also played through a few of those matches. Of course, I think the main highlight that people have burned into their memory was the finish to Kranich versus Kalento. That was quite the series, where in game number 5, Kranich barely managed to kill off Kalento with a 4-card combination in order to kill off his opponent from 16 health. It was quite ridiculous.
Oh man, I still feel that damage as Kalento's teammate, but you can't be mad when you're losing to this combination of cards.
Yeah.
Colento was definitely playing around Brawl, so this only proves how the genius of Kranich and bringing this kind of a deck to the tournament. Because if you don't know what are you playing against fully, you may misplace based on the lack of knowledge that you have. Kranich, he brought his own brew with the aggressive Worgen. He was able to like assemble the cards. He even had this fantastic well played that totally messed with Colento's head. Like when you're seeing like Straza and your opponent is doing well played, you think there's no way I'm going to lose this game. Like there's literally no mathematical way that I'm going to lose the game. And then you lose the game next turn.
It's always how it happens, in my opinion. It's like, there's no way I can die, and then I die. Amaz, taking a look at this first matchup of Kranich versus Tiddler, you said that these two guys, they're deserving to be here. But at the same time, is there a clear favorite based off of what you interpret, whether it's lineup, their play throughout the tournament, or anything you know behind the scenes?
I think if you look at the matchups for deck list, I think Kranich has a better matchup based on decks only. But of course, both of them are really skilled. Everything can happen, and if they ban correctly, really, just anything could happen. I mean, if we're playing all 4 decks, I would give Kranich the advantage, but we'll have to see what their strategies are.
Yeah, you know, even your teammate Firebat says he believes a lot of the Hearthstone matches are decided by your strategy going into the series. What are you taking away from your opponent? How are you leading off? What's your overall game plan? And in this case, these guys do have differing decks. It's not very similar compared to some series where we saw both players playing 2 or 3 of the same decks. There's a lot of variety, and especially based off the vetoes, we might be able to see 5, 6 different classes throughout the series. And
this only proves how good the players are, because if you're only accustomed to playing one deck, and the deck is being banned or vetoed, then you're put out of your comfort zone, and you can lose the match right there. But if you're really flexible with whatever you have in your lineup, if you can play any deck and any matchup, then you can become a possible world champion.
Yeah, it's definitely quite different from the ladder, where you can be like signature with just one deck and a professional just one. But with a tournament setting, you need to know at least 4 and be comfortable with them all, because your opponent can really ban anything. So it definitely takes a higher skill cap to do well and perform well these things.
I think so. Now, taking a look at Tiddler, we know a little bit about him and how he enjoyed American television and Michael Schofield and all that fun stuff. Kranich also is a guy who's been watching a lot of esports, just being in Korea for a while. You know, StarCraft, Brood War, Warcraft 3. Those are the OGs of Korean esports, if you will, where he was aspiring to be one. But he said he wasn't a fast enough player. Instead, he likes to bring strategy and uses his brain. I think it's really cool to see Kranich be able to come up here, because, again, people were doubting the Korean region in terms of skill. We've had these conversations many times with players from the West, and they felt like Korea is one of the weakest areas, and yet they're here in the top 4.
I think there are no doubts right now. And also, Kranich wants to become an RNG god. Amaz, what do you say to that?
Oh, yeah.
I was talking with 2 of the RNG gods. Is he going to complete the Trinity?
No, I was talking with the other pros, and they were calling Kranich the Amaz of Korea.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Or is Amaz the Kranich of Hong Kong?
Oh, yeah.
That's possible, yeah.
We definitely need to talk about some, strategies after this game.
Well, definitely Kranich is running a playstyle that I personally favor. You just put yourself in those risky situations, and you try to take advantage of a lucky draw sometimes, but it's all part of the strategy. It's more like a risk and reward kind of gameplay, where instead of just playing a calm game, you try to exploit the spots and win the game right there, instead of just slowly building up. And that's how you win tournaments, because if you're super passive and are just trying to make the correct play every time, when the odds are against you, you'll just lose the game, because the mathematical possibility is like against you. But if you're trying to exploit the spots and put yourself into a situation where you can get lucky to win, well, that's how you win tournaments in a blast, and just advance.
Yeah, but on Tiddler's side, he has been surprising a lot of people who may not have known him. I know Artosis is a big fan of him, and he's cheering for him to win. And yeah, I mean, he's has pretty solid decks, pretty solid plays. He has a firm understanding of the game, and I predict he will do pretty well as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, Tiddler is a very consistent player. We met him in I Am Shenzhen first. Like, he was playing a couple of his own brews, like some specific decks that he brought.
Oh yeah.
But and it was very interesting. Like, who is this guy? Why is he playing those decks? And he was actually winning with them. He didn't advance the group then, but then he got better and better and better. He qualified for BlizzCon with a fantastic score with his with his Zoo deck. I think it was like 9-0 with Zoo, I think.
Yeah.
And then at WCA, he finished in the final as well. He was doing really well throughout the tournament. So this is also a possible world champion. And if he becomes a world champion, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a coincidence that he placed really high in WCA and placed really high here. So, yeah, he's a very solid player. I remember when I first met him, he had Mad Bomber in Mage. He definitely likes to try out, different strategies, his own kind of style as well. So these players are really just the best. Not be afraid to try out new stuff, explore some, other strategies some pros may not have found yet, and just throw their opponents off like that.
Yeah, paragons of Hearthstone, bringing their own decks, not being afraid of playing something a bit outside of the metagame, and then just playing it perfectly and surprising their opponents.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about some of the lineups too in the preparation, as you saw on the screen just a minute ago. Kranich banned the Priest from Tiddler Celestial, which is an interesting pick considering there is Hunter and Warlock, two classes which has been giving problems for people. And then Kranich, of course, gets his Hunter banned, which is a very unique Hunter. It's got weird cards like Defender of Argus in there instead of Houndmaster. We don't know if it's actually... we haven't seen too much of it to actually formulate a lot of thoughts on the consistency, but it's worked out for him. Nonetheless, I believe Game 1 is almost ready. We're going to start off the series, what looks like to be Shaman versus the Warlock. And I think this lineup, like you said, it does tend to lean a little bit more towards Kranich. What do you think now that the bans have been issued, Maz?
Yeah, Kranich banned the Priest, which I think it's a pretty good ban because Priest overall is just good matchups against the rest of his field. But at the same time, Priest can always draw really poorly and just kill itself in a sense. So we'll see if it pays off. Tiddler obviously bans the Hunter, very fine pick. It's either the Hunter or Warlock. Those are pretty much the strongest classes right now. But of course, Shaman, as we see, has been performing super well in the tournaments.
Right.
People don't think it's deserving of a ban, but it's always come out ahead.
I think that was the reason maybe D2 was able to take out Strifeco, because he was able to ban Shaman, a very important linchpin to his entire lineup. Well, let's see if it pays off for both of these guys. Game number 1 of the first semifinals for the BlizzCon World Championships about to begin. Let's get into the game. Shaman versus Warlock.
Oh, yes. Let's look at the mulligans.
Now, Tiddler is playing Handlock. I've quadruple checked this time around. I've gotten my stuff together today.
Nice.
It was because he was known to be a Zoo player for a long time, and then he said mixing it up and bringing Handlock to BlizzCon was a good change-up for his opponents, and that's what surprised people in the round of 16. And not to mention, he's shown proficiency playing Handlock, even though he's known primarily for Zoo.
And that's a fantastic strategy. If you're known as a player who's mostly running Zoo and you bring a different deck to the tournament, your opponents will just unconsciously assume that you're running a different deck. So that's why he got an advantage during the round of 16 as well, and he was able to advance. Because sometimes people just, well, if you don't know what kind of Warlock are you facing, you can make a huge mistake when trying to mulligan against it.
Yeah, I think the so right now with the starting hands, they both have pretty good starting hands, especially with the Hellfire on Tiddler's side. This Mana Tide Totem is going to create a little bit of problem though, as he doesn't really have an effective way of playing it right now.
Well, not for now, but still, he has a Mountain Giant, Twilight Drake, a second Hellfire. That's a lot of burn.
Yeah, and AoE to deal with classes like the Shaman. And that is an important card for Kranich to pick up early. You might not feel like it right now, but Shaman in this matchup is about putting a little bit of damage and pressure on board, but somewhere in the middle, they try to find a way to kill Handlock because they realize they're going to get overrun the longer the game goes.
Oh yeah, Doomhammer definitely gives a big burst amount of damage. We know that Handlocks, work really well when they're low amounts of health with Molten Giants. So that is definitely a very good draw you want to see early on.
Overall, I really like Kranich's hand. He has a couple of sticky minions like Harvest Golem and Haunted Reaper. He has this weapon. He has Feral Spirit, so possibly he can overextend here a bit. And even if the board is clear, he has a follow-up with some other minions. And Shaman really wants to have as big board as possible. Use cards like Flame Tomb Totem and just deal as much damage there as possible.
Well, Kranich also has removal, which is really important to have too. The Hex to line up against the Giants, but he doesn't have something to deal with the Twilight Drakes. And this is a question that often comes down to these interesting and important turns. Are you playing the Drake? Are you playing the Giant instead? Like, what's the dynamic here, Mas?
Usually, if you are the handlock going into the Shaman, you want to play Giants because there is only one response. If you play the Twilight Drake, it dies to Hex and Earthshock. So yeah, usually you just, you know, put it all in and just do a Giant.
Also, it's better if you play a Giant because Giant costs only 3 points of mana, and if they have to Hex, they have to use almost the whole turn. And if there's a Twilight Drake into Earthshock, they only use 1 point of mana and they play something, so they go ahead on the board.
Yeah, that's definitely very true.
Well, Kranich hesitated and thought a little bit, but Hex on the Giant is pretty much what you want. And as much as yesterday we saw the flashiness of Tare planning a 2 or 3 turn lead though with Doomhammer on turn 5, I don't think he was in a position to necessarily need to do that. Like Kranich didn't have to because it wasn't his last option. Versus Tare, yesterday when we saw him do that, he was forced to because he had no other alternative.
Right. Kranich also has a lot of birds in his hand, so he can steadily increase his advantage.
I have no time.
Sylvanas, it's a good choice from Tiddler. He wants to get back on board. He wants to put a threat that will be able to get him back into the game. But this is getting really dangerous. This is the turn when Lotheb is a super dangerous card.
And even Lotheb is being dangerous. We can see that Kranich is actually 3 damage off killing his opponent. He has the Doomhammer and Rockbiter. So we can see that, you know, for Tiddler, it's a very bad spot to be in. Like if Kranich just draws some direct damage, another Rockbiter or like a Lightning Bolt or something like that, this game would be over pretty soon.
Yeah, but even if normally you would think it's good to go for face and just leave your opponent at 3 points of damage. You don't have the burst to follow up if he has Molten Giants and a Taunt Giver. So that's why Kranich is thinking about his next move. He wants to seal the hand of Tiddler. He wants to avoid any kind of AoE clear to position himself to win the game next turn.
So holding on to this last attack puts him at 14, and then his opponent has 7 mana, so he wouldn't be able to play Defender of Argus with the Molten Giant if he had it.
Right. So hedging his bets, kind of.
Yes. But, I mean, Tiddler doesn't have to play spells. In fact, he only has 1 spell in his entire hand. Everything else is minions. And he can set up a pretty decent wall of taunts. And I like that he also activates the taunts off of his Sylvanas, because that's already a target where you want to use Earthshock or Hex anyways. Don't give it a chance for it to have double.
Oh, a Lightning Bolt. So if he will actually go for face last turn, he will finish it with this Lightning Bolt.
He would have, but you know, Molten Giants are pretty scary, with especially Earthen Ring Farseer. But here, that's a lot of damage.
You probably want to use the Lightning Storm, but do you taunt them up first?
Well,
you can use your mana more effectively.
Do we actually have lethal here if he rolls a Spell Power Totem? Oh, probably not. Yeah,
no, because he doesn't have enough mana to use Doomhammer after that. But he does get okay rolls across the board.
Rolls are fine.
I think a high roll on the Ancient Watcher is actually pretty decent.
Yeah, it was very important there.
Yeah.
Well, he could use a Lightning Bolt, but still, it's better to use it.
Doesn't kill off the Farseer, but eh.
I think you want to save the Lightning Bolt for the face. Another 3 damage potential. It's pretty crazy. He doesn't want to hit 5 for the face because, you know, it will enable Molten Giants. You really don't want that to happen because you already burned through 2 hexes, and the only way to get through the taunts are Earthshock.
Well, the good thing for Tiddler is he's still got taunts ready to go, and of course he does have AoE with Hellfire and Shadow Flame. So by all means, he does have the tools to deal with Shaman. It just gets scarier because even a Sludge Belcher isn't guaranteed to protect you for too long because your opponent might have Earthshock to get past it.
It's very good that he actually healed himself because if there's an Earthshock, he's not dead to the Doomhammer, Earthshock, and a Roguebiter.
Yeah.
It would be enough mana though. So what do you do here? I guess you clear the board again and just try to exhaust the resources of Warlock.
How long are you going to hold on to this Doomhammer? Is it just a surprise element kill, or do you? I mean, can we get the damage out starting now to start whacking away and impact the board?
Yeah, you definitely want to save it for a surprise in a sense, but if you feel like you can't win the long game, then you do have to utilize its combined damage. I mean, it does do crazy amount, 16 damage for like a 7 mana card with the overload, of course. That's pretty crazy, so you might be thinking that.
So Kranich is deciding to clear the board and position himself to win next turn. he will be able to deal a lot of damage. Probably one is, how much is this? 10?
Well, Hellfire has something to say about this before Kranich's board can do anything to him.
And this Shadow Flame is going to be so useful because the more board clears you have against Shaman, the more cards they lose. And sooner or later, they're just going to have no more cards, and you can just overwhelm them with taunts so that, you know, Doomhammer doesn't hit your face, and just win that way.
Although, if Kranich picks up his second Rock Fighter, it won't really matter because Tiddler will just die straight up to attack. So all this killing could be for naught.
Oh, but he is overloaded for quite a bit.
I didn't see the
so
3 mana overload. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tiddler is aware of that.
Well, being Kranich, after seeing double Hellfire, do you just build up the board again?
Oh man, if he does, this Shadow Flame is going to be so deadly with the Ancient Watcher.
Yeah, this is actually looking good for Tiddler. I mean, he has the clear, he has the Taunt Giver, so it seems like he survived. He even has the heal. If Kranich is just going to go for face and deal some points of damage, then we will see Lord Jiraxis just healing Tiddler there.
It's interesting to see if Kranich is going to attack here. He might make the read that, because my opponent is healing himself really frantically, and he doesn't have Molten Giants.
Right.
And he doesn't make that read, so that's pretty good.
Big Game Hunter is not really that useful against Shaman whatsoever. The only case you can is Flame Tongue Totem on Violet Elemental. So you can use this Big Game Hunter for Shadow Flame for the following turns. I mean, this Ancient Watcher is often the best card because how cheap it is. Yep. But BJ still has some utility, even though it doesn't have a direct target to kill.
Also, what just happened is super important for Tiddler Celestial because yeah, I wanted to mention Airshock. Like, he played one Twilight Drake and it didn't meet Airshock. So that's why he knows that there is no Airshock and he can play a second one. Well, the Airshock did come.
Yeah, but the Airshock is kind of a double whammy because if, you know that the Handlock deck has like a lot of taunt givers, right? So if you do use an Airshock to kill one of these Drakes, there's going to be more taunts to come in, and you can't just use the Doomhammer to kill your opponent anymore.
Yeah, but then again, Airshock is clearing only one taunt. And taunt givers are just giving the taunt to both minions.
How much time do you... Because again, this Doomhammer can represent damage that you're putting your opponent on the clock. How much time do you have before you feel like you have no choice to develop it? Do you feel like instead playing passive with Earthshock and just waiting is okay? Or I mean, I feel like the Doomhammer in this spot is all right because you have to start doing something. You can't just let the Handlocks seize the board.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if Handlocks are playing like Jiraxis or Alexstrasza to reset their health. You need to like get them ready. So he does go in and sets up for a possible lethal next turn. In his eyes.
Well, if he gets another Airshock off the top, he's going to win the game right there, unless we are going to see Jiraxis.
Oh, I mean, there is a likelihood, although there's not many cards.
Oh, wow.
In his hand, like Jiraxis, you come out, usually you want to have a decent hand with it.
Yep.
But that hand's looking pretty feeble by my count.
And a decent board. You don't want them to,
That's true.
Drop Jiraxis and just die. That would be terrible. But man, these taunts.
That is going to be problematic. Both hexes are used, and one Earthshock has been exhausted.
Flame Tongue Totem is a blank because there is no board for Kranich. So it seems like Kranich ran out of steam.
Yeah, Tiddler with his 3 board clears, 2 Hellfires, and 1 Shadow Flame just really stops Shamans in his tracks. They really do need the early board game pressure to push the damage and then finish them off like first.
He did use double hex. He did use 1 Airshock.
Right.
And 1 Lightning Storm. What is left to go for this board? I mean, the Sludge Belcher is a 4/6, the Wolf Spawn and 1/2 taunt.
Oh man.
And you can't even deal with this board right now.
Yeah, the Earthshock on the Twilight Drake, because of this, you can say is a little short-sighted, because now he could have used it on a target.
Right,
or
exactly.
the Twilight Drake, only one of them could have been taunted, and he would have taken a little bit more damage.
Like, just pretend that he did top deck another Earthshock, he would have won by now. So even though the Earthshock did remove a Twilight Drake, it might not be a game-winning play because the taunt givers are always going to taunt up 2 things.
Values is the cruel mistress, right? Sometimes you try to appease her, and you end up paying the ultimate price. Don't know how Kranich can pull out of this one if he doesn't draw the answer soon, because there is a lot of damage staring the opposite direction.
So what he can do is just play the Flame Tongue and I guess taunt Yeah, you have to have a board. Something to stop, to give yourself a couple of more turns, to maybe draw a lightning storm to be able to clear this at some point.
Oh man, we're probably gonna see a Jiraxis here to just push himself out of that, you know, burst range of like, you know.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Gain
Crazy
5
spells.
life. Equip a 3/8 weapon, and then.
That's pretty good for 9 mana.
Well, there is a risk of Harrison Jones.
That is true.
Yeah,
And we've
you're
seen
right.
it a few times, but I think it's time for Jiraxis to come out and make a big impact on the game, because he can now clear the board with his weapon and start putting out big infernal creatures that, honestly, Kranich can't deal with whatsoever.
Enter the Murder Lord.
The what lord?
The Erdar. Wow. You need to read us on some lore for them.
I do. That's one of the things I'm gonna do. Study up on everything in the Warcraft lore. I'll probably a few of those books.
I can coach you in that if you want.
Thank you. I know you charge like 100 an hour, right? So.
For lore coaching.
Wow, it's pretty expensive.
Oh, that is so painful. You have to use Rockfire to clear, but I think that is your best way to not die from this point on.
Fire Elemental might want to hit the slime as well.
Oh, that's an interesting point. 'Cause
Yeah.
you want to get past that taunt.
You want to just push for as much damage as you can.
Right.
You know what? It doesn't look that bad.
Ooh, Mortal Core is a good card.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can kill the
draw a
Totem
card.
and draw a card. But still, he is short on killing. He needs to develop the board, but
Yeah,
he's
not
cards in
quite.
hand. Oh, faceless.
Oh.
Oh, this is a
I
great
mean,
card.
that's not bad.
I
You
mean,
put
that's a
out
6/6, right? Ooh, he does. Oh,
mean,
he should
that's-
copy his own Inferno, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Okay.
strictly worse, but a little bit more flashy.
Okay, that's style points.
Yes. If this was, that snowboarding game that judges you based off every jump that you get every 2 seconds, that would have been a plus 1,000 points.
Okay.
Instead of like the plus 50 that you normally get.
But wow, so close to killing your opponent, right? You have.
Just one more Rogue Biter.
Oh man, if he did kill off that 1/2 slime,
It would have been
it
lethal,
would have
huh?
it would have been a chance.
Yeah,
for
because of the
lethal.
spell power
The
totem.
spell power
Yeah,
totem.
Yeah. And your opponent would have been able to use Mortal Coil as well.
It's all these like small 1% plays that might make the difference and might not.
Yeah.
If this is spell power totem,
No.
it's not.
And sometimes you would think that, a 3 damage battle cry would like to kill a 3 damage creature.
Right.
But there's a lot of instances where you have to adapt.
There's a lot of instances, many times you do a reflex play. Like, I think that seems the most correct. But still, it was very close for Kranich to steal the game. But Tiddler Celestial is going to advance.
Yep.
And
Oh, you slammed
Yeah.
that mountain giant down. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Tiddler Celestial is going to be able to kill his opponent with a faceless manipulator cloud elemental. And that's a nice way to start off the series for Tiddler. A good boost of confidence.
Oh,
I mean,
yes,
Tiddler played really well. He kept his cool. He didn't,
Yep.
get scared of like the board. He didn't throw out a Farseer when he didn't have to in turn 3. And he just, kept on wiping the Shaman's board. Even going down to as low as 10 health with a Doomhammer equipped, right? So I think pretty well played by Tiddler there.
yeah, this is how you play Handlock. I mean, it's not a very easy deck to play. You have a lot of choices, a lot of cards that you have to choose from. And you have to be very patient. It seems like you're dying because your opponent is attacking you, like overextending, building up the board. But you just have to be calm and clear, develop the minions, and then start attacking at some point. Like, he was out of cards almost. When he played Jiraxis, he had like 1-2 minions on board. But that was the point when he started winning, and he was able to grab the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, Amaz. It's very difficult to sometimes not overreact to what Shaman's doing, and you can sense that he's trying to kill you. Overall, it takes a lot of experience to be able to get to that point, to be able to make the reads appropriate to the opponent. And now Tiddler's up 1 game, even though Kranich did have that Shaman, which I felt like was one of those wild card, because Shaman can always give these 3 classes a problematic time, especially one with Zombie Chow to fight against like the Hunters, So I think Kranich losing this deck was very painful, even more so than other series when you lose the first game.
Oh yeah, Shaman right now it's in a very weird spot where it does have favorable matchups against the Hunter, because Hunters have been starting to cut cards like
Right?
Unleash the Hounds.
How weird is
even. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I'm playing Hunter, I'm not most comfortable if I see a Shaman. I go like, oh, this is a tough matchup. I have to keep on killing totems. They can buff them up anytime. So now, Kranich has to rely on his other 2 decks to hopefully carry him through.
Honestly, Shaman is out of the way. and Shaman's was Alliance. That was Thrall. Right now he's down to his Warlock and Warrior, both Horde decks.
You raid for the Horde?
I will. Oh my god. It's for the Horde, and I think Kranich can take it with the power of the Horde.
Okay.
Either Warlock or Warrior.
Is that also a card in Hearthstone? Power of the Horde? And
Yeah.
Power of the Horde. Yes.
Horde.
ETC.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
The EDC card.
My opponent gets Cairn, but I get the Thrallmar Farseer every single time.
Oh, Frostwolf Grunts.
Frostwolf Grunt is even
Frostwolf
worse.
Grunt.
Yeah.
No, even the Frostwolf Grunt will keep me alive a little bit against like Druid
Okay.
combo. Thrallmar Farseer just gets stolen by Cabal Shadow
But
Priest.
did you
and
see
I'm
the
like,
card
what?
art? Did you see the card art? This guy's ripped.
Yeah, it is. I aspire to be like the Thrall. When I'm doing my sets in the gym, that's what I imagine. Being like the Thrallmar Farseer.
And it hits for 2 damage.
Four.
Yeah, but he does it twice over because he's
Oh.
got.
Windfury.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got the strength. He's got the strength.
All right.
All right, well, Kranich is going to need that Horde power with Warrior or Warlock. What's he going to queue into it? As looks like it's going to be Warlock versus Warrior. Let's go into game 2 and see if Kranich can turn it around.
Your soul shall be mine.
All right, let's look at the mulligans. Tiddler gets the coin. Amas, do you like having a coin as a handlock?
Having the coin is good because you are a bit more versatile. You can always coin tap if your hand is really bad. Because especially this matchup, you really want to find those Twilight Drakes and Giants so that you make the warrior run out of removal spells such as Execute and Shield Slam, and when they do, they have nothing else.
A full keep here from Kranich. He chose to keep the Death Bite. Now, Maz, talk to me a little bit about this because I've seen you play a lot of Warrior recently.
Yeah, keeping Death Bite is definitely pretty interesting because, of course, the second hit enables stuff like Execute. But it's quite weird. I mean, I personally wouldn't have kept it and would have fished for something else. But of course, the danger of the Control Warrior is that you have so many legendaries and so much high-end cards that if you mulligan into something like an Alex Straza, you can't use it for 9 turns. And, the Death Bite does give an extra option for versatility.
I'll say it's Acolytes of Pain, and in this matchup, having a card game is very important. You want to draw as many cards as possible because you want to get Executes, you want to get Shield Slam, you want to get Shield Blocks. It's very tricky from the Warrior's perspective. You can be very aggressive, and that's also one of the ways to win. Just force your opponent to play Molten Giants. Just deal as much damage as possible so they play the Molten Giants, and then you brawl and destroy the board. So that's one of the strategies. Another one is just draw as much as possible and try to execute whatever you can.
I've also seen some people choose not to play Armor Smith on turn 2 and armor up because they have Shield Slam in hand and they want to be able to pave the way to answer a big threat. In fact, no armor up whatsoever. I mean, this is, of course, a way Kranich can take the board a little bit earlier on and get those draws with Acolyte.
All right.
But talk a little bit about this line of play here, Mas.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think he's going with kind of what Nimsh said, the more aggressive play, because usually this matchup is about the Warlock being aggressive, putting down his big minions, and then Warrior has to wait until they draw into the turn 10 combo with Grommash before the game ends, right?
Well,
but yeah, it's interesting the strategy and the way of thinking Kranich is taking this.
By the way, I think we are forgetting that Kranich is playing a totally different Warrior deck.
Right, that was exactly
the inner rage when it comes out, right?
Yeah. The inner rage is like a reminder.
Reminder when he played against Collector, right?
Absolutely. I think when you're playing a combo deck, you have to be a little bit more oriented about getting those card draws. The removal is there to assist you for the kill. Remember, this is not full-out control Warrior, and Tiddler knows that too, so he says, I'm just going to spend my time making sure to deny that card draw as much as possible. Don't give him a chance to draw more than 1 card, if any at all.
I wonder how Kranich will play out this matchup because his Warrior is so different. I think he actually has an advantage. He has the silence, he has the same removal that the normal control Warrior has, and he has a much more burst with the combos. That's why Acolyte of Pain is so important. He needs to accumulate all the combo cards and removal cards at the same time and be able to win in 1 turn. Alright, so being Lotheb is a good card.
Lotheb is pretty good against Sludge Belcher. Sludge Belcher is usually the only play you can do when your opponent Lothebs you at turn 5.
Yeah, playing your own Lotheb in response is also weak considering he has the weapon up, so he could easily clear it, and you'd be in a bad spot after that, taking a lot of damage. And again, Tiddler recognizes he doesn't want to give his opponent any leeway to be able to kill him off. If he was holding Raging Morgan with charge, that's only 6 mana. We saw what happened. You can use with Inner Rage at 16 damage right there.
Well, right now Kranich will be abusing Acolyte of Pain, trying to draw as many cards as possible.
To me.
Just attack Lothar, attack into Sludge Belcher, draw a card, see what you get.
Right.
Unfortunately, Armor Smith is not doing much. I mean, he will get armor there, but Armor Smith will die first.
Right, but at least you gain 3 armor. Like,
yeah,
see what he picks up off the Acolyte.
Armor is always good in this matchup because he even has a shield stamp, so he has his removal card for it.
And still no Giants or Twilight Drakes for over here.
This is quite unfortunate.
Oh, there you go. That's something.
Wow.
Could be a bit too late though. I mean, the armor has been stacked up, and there already has been a lot of board development on the Warrior side. He already cycled a lot of cards.
Yeah, and you know, this threat can be easily handled to the point where, I mean, Kranich is still drawing deeper into his deck. That's the big objective here.
Well, he doesn't even have to shield block here. He can attack with the Acolyte, see what he draws, then armor up and shield slam. But shield block, shield slam is fine as well.
Oh,
he wants to save this Inner Rage, right? Like, he's not going to use it to draw cards.
Right. It's like this Worgen activator for the full-fledged combo that we saw.
Resist temptation.
Yeah.
Well, Tiddler's still looking for another threat of some kind. I think he's going to try to tuck the Lotheb as well, and maybe have it as an opportunity to push against the Warrior without his opponent being able to get a last-ditch effort to kill him. So that Lotheb might be the key to this game for Tiddler.
Amos, can you tell me who has the advantage here if the game goes longer?
Right now, it's looking like we're swinging back to the Warlock's favor because, you know, he does have more minions. He's going to continue putting down stuff. But as soon as Tiddler overextends, we do see a brawl that might change things around again. So I think this brawl is going to be the key to Kranich winning this match.
There's the brawl that Kalento was playing around for a long time yesterday. But that brawl was not in the hand of Kranich, so at least we do have confirmation. Probably Kalento can sleep a little bit easier tonight.
All right, a Hellfire. Is there any merit in playing Hellfire right now?
Yeah, this is a pretty hard turn, so this does tap into a Giant. No, that's something to play. That's good.
It got much easier.
Yeah, it did, definitely. But the decision to tap is definitely not the easiest.
This Armor Smith is so annoying. Armor Smith with Sludge Belcher is such a fantastic combination for us.
Man.
Yeah, oftentimes it takes 2-3 attacks to kill off the Sludge Belcher, and you're gaining 3 armor in the process. And then killing Armor Smith is also gaining life.
Yep.
That synergy is quite ridiculous.
I just love Sludge Belcher as a card. It's a fantastic addition in the adventure mode.
Oh wow, he deals threatened already and using a Sun Fury on the Giant. Surprising.
Well, he knows his opponent has the possibility of owling his Sludge Belcher and pushing through, and he feels like 19 health is nothing to scoff at with 3 damage on board.
Yep.
So it's actually the exact play around the combo that his opponent had, that 16 damage Raging Worgen combo, which Kranich is only missing 1 card for it. So it was actually the correct play by all means.
It is pretty scary how much the Worgen damage can do.
Is there any merit in brawling here? Or can he deal with his board without rolling?
I think he might want to bait the brawl right at this point. Because as we know, if Tiddler plays Lothar, he can still brawl. But wow, it's just going right for it.
Oh man, which Sludge might survive too?
And
the winner is Sun Fury. So you do armor up. Do you play Party Monster or do you just pass?
Pyromancer could be okay.
I mean, it challenges the board.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's going to be easy removed by Immortal Coil, so it's reasonable.
Well, Tiddler Celestial is still in the game. He has a lot of cards, and he taps into Twilight Drake.
All right, so he's going to use Lotheb as an opportunity to take back the board right here. I like it.
And he knows that with Lotheb on the board and you know, a 1-turn kill or OTK, Warrior can't really kill him right now.
Yes.
So he doesn't need to use Sun Fury on his Lotheb.
He can use Sun Fury next turn because he's safe.
That is so much life for Kranich. He's at 48.
Oh man.
He's got more armor than health.
He might need a second brawl though.
Yeah, I think he actually used his draw a bit too early.
I mean,
So,
whatever,
yeah.
Oh yeah, this is a
whatever
signal.
minion gets hit by this shield slam doesn't know what's coming.
Oh man.
It's gonna be like 20 damage worth of pain.
Because the brawl was being used.
Yes!
Oh wow.
Shield slam, smite it. To
Wow.
force him 1,000
That's okay.
suns.
Do
That's a lot of damage.
Oh, wow. That
Ouch.
Twilight
That
Drake was so
hurts.
valuable. It was a 420.
Wow. Okay.
He could shield
That
slam
happened.
face.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
He could have shield slammed the face.
Oh man. But I mean, looking at this hand, if he draws a Worgen, does like how much damage is that? It's 16 damage, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But you need to... You do need to get past it, but you do have the owl.
Oh, copy the
but
taunt. That's
now
really
you need
smart.
to execute that other one. This is just getting more complicated and convoluted. The combo's becoming like 5 or 6 cards now
Yep.
in order to kill your opponent.
This game is so tricky. Is he going to get the...
Oh.
Wait a minute. Can he deal?
Well, he needs to kill one of these watchers first because he can silence the. While he can silence the other one is just sitting there.
Yeah, and you can't silence, execute, and play Grommash with the Inner Rage.
That's
Not-
a lot of mana.
Yeah, it's 11 mana, and even so, you're gonna be a little bit short of damage.
What about using Grommash to hit, like, attacking to one of the 4/5s and then finishing it with execute?
That's interesting.
Because you still know you have the Worgen in your deck, so you're just removing the taunts, and you've seen most of the taunt givers already.
Yeah, it's funny that you know a Grommash is actually worse than a Worgen.
Yeah.
You want the Worgen instead.
It's not the finisher here.
So like Grommash can just be a removal spell.
Not bad. I mean, Tiddler's picking up the big threats as the game develops because it's early on. He didn't have any of those cards. Seems like he's drawing into every big threat to challenge the board and even push back against Kranich to be able to pick up the board.
Tiddler again is sporting a lot of patience on his side, just slowly dealing damage, positioning himself to win the game.
Oh, that's a good draw. Double 5 drops.
Yeah, but now it's I mean, if that was a Raging Worgen, the game was over.
Oh yeah, it was like 16. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is still a game. Like, do not be fooled, folks. I mean, even though Tiddler Celestial has a very intimidating board and a reasonable amount of health,
Yep.
the Warrior can just end it at any second.
Kranich is just, you know, stalling the game until he draws the game ender.
Right. And he's holding Harrison Jones on the off chance his opponent has that Jiraxis, so to draw into the final pieces of the combo.
Well, Sylvanas is not the card that's putting Tiddler Celestial in a better position. He needs to deal with his Touch Belcher, but still, he doesn't have a way to protect himself against that Worgen.
Yeah. He needs more taunts.
Man, that is
That's
the
not it.
weirdest thing. You actually want to heal yourself because you're at 14 health?
Right.
Like, that's just weird.
All right, well, it still is the same exact scenario where they need to get their Raging Worgen to end the game.
Oh, Black Knight is a nice card to get.
I mean, he was in danger of dying next turn himself, too. His opponent does
Yeah.
have a strong amount of damage on the board.
That's 20 damage on the board. So one Soulfire does kill him if he doesn't armor up, but he does. But
Yeah,
one Soulfire still kills him
Hellfire.
because of Hellfire, yeah.
Exactly. So now Tiddler's on a draw to win the game.
Soulfire finishes the game.
Oh.
Jiraxis.
Jiraxis.
Doesn't really do it.
But if he plays Jiraxis,
Then he won't have the mana to execute.
well, I'm saying if he plays Jiraxis, then Harrison Jones
Oh, yeah.
ends up drawing a lot of cards. But will it even matter?
Well, the thing is, like, if he plays Harrison, he actually can't do anything else.
Oh! That is pretty nasty.
Wait, that's it.
That's
going
it.
to be enough damage to kill him
Oh,
off.
man.
Or is it?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hellfire.
I like it. Tiddler Celestial jumps out to a 2-0 lead.
Very nice there.
By fire. Kranich never got that Worgen. But that was
Nice
so
play.
close.
That was really nice.
Just in case, checking his outs to see if Soulfire was the next card that he needed, and it was.
And of course, you didn't want to tap into that position. Right?
Right.
So yeah, very nice.
Discarding his Iron Beagles to get a Soulfire and win the game.
Tiddler is playing like a god at the moment. He is on point. He's sharp. He's not letting up any weaknesses. I mean, he's counting for situations where it's like, yeah, if you have that 5-card combination, you still can't kill me. So he's playing, like, it's immaculate right now, his Hearthstone play at the moment.
He is a fantastic Warlock player, and I just love Warlock, and I love watching Tiddler playing. At first playing Zoo, the WCA, now playing Handlock. The guy really knows how to apply the power of the Horde
Yeah, I guess so,
You're
right?
still going on that?
Using.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think also his practice and the fact that he's also one of the best players in China does have a little bit to do with it. But you know what? The handlock and the horde are very powerful forces in Hearthstone indeed.
Yeah, and Fel Magic.
And no magic.
Yeah.
All right, I still need those books, Nimsh. You told
Oh, sure.
I
yeah.
need that $100 an hour coaching, Nimsh.
Got you.
Yeah.
Amas, we are going to see Warlock versus Warlock as not the last game in this match, but still.
Possibly the last game in this match.
Possibly, if Kranich loses that, he will be eliminated and Tiddler advances. But what do you think about it? Do we know if it's a Zoo or Handlock?
I believe it's handlock, but you guys are looking at me, and I'm like, guys, I don't think I'm the primary source for this kind of information.
You're the encyclopedia in Hearthstone.
Quite the opposite. Well, I mean, I'm like Wikipedia, where it's easily to edit me for false information. You just have to say, yeah, he's playing Zoo. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, he is playing Zoo. And like, no, he's actually playing handlock. Oh yeah, that's right, he's playing handlock. That's me.
Anybody can edit Frodan.
That's right. I'm not a reliable. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. All right, so it is handlock.
Yes. You know what? I'm gonna go on a limb
All right.
and say it's handlock.
Man, if it's handlock versus handlock, then you know it's very swingy. But it's I love it. It's like a chess game, right?
Oh,
you know,
yes,
it's like response and reaction, and whoever pushes forward might dive to Shadow Flame and stuff like that. It's a really interesting matchup.
One of the most enjoyable games.
Yeah, it's one of our favorites, right? We've been
Yes.
talking a lot about that.
Yeah, certainly. And the Warlock always wins.
All right, well, guys, it's time to find out if Tiddler Celestial is going to get a berth in the grand finals. Will he be able to 3-0 with handlock? Let's find out.
Your soul shall suffer.
All right, the Mulligan's Kranich gets the coin. So Tiddler, oh my god, the big hunter.
Big game hunter. Oh, doesn't even want the Twilight Drake. Wow.
Is he searching for a big hunter as well?
Oh, maybe. It's interesting.
Well, his hand, I liked his hand before he mulliganed the entire thing away, but if he's searching for a specific card, that's the risk that you take. He gets a little bit more clunky hand, but at least he does have a turn 3 play as well if he's going to be aggressively tapping.
But, I mean, Mortal Coil in this matchup is not a dead card at all. There are so many targets, you know?
Right.
Farseer, after you hit with Cypher, Argus, Mortal Coil. There's Owls to Mortal Coil.
Or if you silence the Twilight Drake, Mortal Coil and Twilight Drake.
Exactly.
This matchup is basically an ultimate test of skill. And in the beginning, you want to have big minions on board, but on the other hand, you can't push an attack that much, because if you put your opponent in range so that he can play Molten Giants, you can just lose the game right there. But there are also those key cards like Sylvanas, like Shadow Flame. If you just put too many minions on board and they Shadow Flame your board, you just get behind. And also, Kranich is playing Power of the Overwhelming, so he might have a possibility to just burst.
That's right. I see a lot of handlocks cutting that card because the Leroy combo is not relevant anymore. But
right, you used to be able to use Leroy, Power Overwhelming, and Faceless it for 20 damage.
Yeah.
And if you also had Soulfire, it was 24. And ever since that Leroy got bumped to 5 mana, it's no longer possible unless you have the coin. I was going to say there is no way to play it, but I guess if Kranich does have Leroy, he could save that the entire time.
But the card itself is still very relevant. You can use it in conjunction with Power Over in Shadow Flame for more damage to the board. It's like a third Soulfire in a sense. So it is pretty versatile still.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you have Sylvanas, he does have Sylvanas in his deck, right? So if he just has Sylvanas and you attach Power Overwhelming on it, it'll die at the end of the turn to steal one of your opponent's minions. So there's a lot of synergy across the deck.
And also Iron Big Owls is such an important card to deal with the Twilight Drake. Oh, there is one.
Oh, there is one,
Well,
but it's on the other side.
I don't think he's going to owl his own Drake.
Well, you can, but you don't want to do that.
If you want to make a statement,
I don't want to go to the grand finals.
Wow, that's a bad
I want to go
statement.
play Overwatch. I want to see goblins and gnomes and not be on stage.
That is a statement. But yeah, Gul'dan versus Gul'dan.
Another hard turn for Kranich here. I mean, you could just put the Sludge Belcher and play on curve. But at the same time, your opponent gets to advance on his board as well. You don't have any board clears, so you're kind of worried, oh, what happens if my opponent really overextends? I can't really do anything about it.
You want to contest the board.
How much are you afraid of putting down your own Sludge Belcher to answer your opponent's Sludge Belcher?
Yeah, usually you don't want to do that, especially on a board like this. Activating the Watchers is perfectly fine because if your opponent wants to push through it, they have to use premium removal such as Shadow Flame.
By the way, Lothab, another very important card in this matchup. If your opponent gets low, just play double Molten Giant, Lothab, and then you kill them. They won't be able to clear a board with Shadow Flame.
I'll raise you another scenario. You do that, but then you attach Power Overwhelming and Shadow Flame the Lotheb, and your opponent loses the entire board, and you can't play spells.
Oh man.
Like Lotheb Shadow Flame, like really convinced me how good it is in this deck. I mean, you didn't have to convince me Lotheb was good already, but
It's
that was
even
just
better.
icing on the cake.
And it's only stressing the fact like that in this matchup, every card matters. How you use your Siphon Soul, how you use your Lotheb, Power Overwhelming, everything has a meaning. That's why it's such an important match.
This is quite uncomfortable. He doesn't have an easy way to deal with Sylvanas without giving up one of his minions, it looks like.
And you do not want to give your Watchers. Watchers are very, very good in a hand lock deck. You can always activate them with silence. You can Shadow Flame them.
Right.
And I mean, you can just sit there with taunt, and it's a pain
Yeah,
to deal
you
with.
know, people open up Watchers in their first packs of Hearthstone. They say, well, why? What do I use this for? It's got so much synergy with all these Warlock spells like Shadow Flame to clear the board.
He's going for and
going for 50-50.
the Watcher is gone.
We know what he took, and that's going to be the Ancient Watcher.
All right, it's a bit of an unlucky RNG right there.
Well, at least that can attack, but for now, that's going to be a target which not only can he not get through, but it's in danger of destroying his board with the Shadow Flame, like we mentioned.
Look at this free drop.
Oh my
And
god.
a free drop AA, isn't it a bit too powerful?
No, because isn't there a new giant coming out in Goblins and Gnomes where you can play for 2 mana based off how many cards your opponent holds?
Wow.
That's right.
Touché.
Just watch. You play King Mukla in that card.
I definitely need to check the Goblins versus Gnomes.
But it looks like that Tiddler's hand is just so much better.
It
so much more
does.
reactive. There are no Molten Giants when you're sitting at full health. You know,
Yeah,
it's all playable.
Kranich has 2 Molten Giants that he's going to take a while for him to get to.
And he has Jiraxis as well, right? So
Right, but even his
painful.
post-Jiraxis hand is not that strong. And if you're
very bad.
right.
Yeah.
And also, Kranich still has 30 points of health, so those Molten Giants are not going to...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kranich just wants a spell to deal like 20 damage to his own hero.
Yes.
That would be
Well,
a good spell.
if he plays Jiraxis, he is dealing 15 points
Right,
there.
but the maximum health is 15 as well. That's a problem.
So Molten Giants still cost 20.
Yeah.
So, why is Tiddler playing the Sun Fury just on the Ancient Watcher again? He already has Taunt.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wants the extra 2-3 on the board, and he also doesn't want to taunt the Lotheb in case there's a Black Knight happening. And I mean, an Ancient Watcher that has taunt already is fine because, you know, the Watcher protects the Lotheb, whereas if the Lotheb has taunt, then you know, they're both vulnerable.
You think that 2-3 body is really worth putting out? Like, I mean, aren't you saving it for combinations with your Giants, or if you pick up Jiraxis and whatnot?
Well, you do have 2, so I guess putting up 1, you know, it could just, it's challenging the Argus already, and you can attack with 5-5. So it's reasonable. And here we can see that the Sunfury was really good. You can clear the ooze as well. Oh wow, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, this
That's
double
11 damage
support.
from hand
Yeah.
if he was able to stretch it out aggression-wise.
With Argus, that's 13. Possibly 13. Not with the Watch in the middle though.
Do you... are you forced to make a play?
Are you?
I don't think you are.
That is the biggest Watch I've ever seen.
A 6-7... It's a Boulder Fist Ogre?
Yeah.
Yes.
They forgot how to attack.
Well, you can silence it and then you have a Yeti.
Maybe he's a peaceful Boulder Fist Ogre. Like, he's turned from his violent ways.
Okay.
Guys, there's a giant, so the Big Game
He's
Hunter...
gone through anger management issues.
Oh wow, this
Big Game Hunter
could
is
be a
going to
very
play.
good turn. You could play Giant, Power Overwhelming the Argus, and actually Shadow Flame the Argus. But then you don't clear the Watcher.
And you
because
lose the
Watcher's-
giant to Big Game Hunter.
Oh yeah, wow.
And you know what also stinks is normally with Power Overwhelming, because it also buffs health, you can usually attack and then trade to get a full clear. But that Ancient Watcher is so big that if you use Power Overwhelming, you're still going to lose the Argus if you attack.
Yeah, that is a pretty fair Watcher. So
That
he decided to
hurts.
Shadow Flame the Giant
Yeah.
instead.
He's playing around the Big Game Hunter.
That's
Oh,
true, he is. And he
yeah.
saw BGH in Tiddler's deck, and another a restraint. So Kranich is on point too, making sure to give his opponent as difficult time as possible.
Well, also, if you're dealing with one threat at a time, at some point Warlock won't have the threats anymore.
Yep.
And then he is forced to play Jiraxis. And you can probably deal with the board after Jiraxis is being played.
Oh, now this is a scary hand. There are no taunts. There are no threats that you can put down.
I mean-
Giants can't be played. So
Are you worried about taking damage, though, you do have 2 Molten Giants. And you do have heal, so
Yeah, but then
is it reasonable to just play into a creature and then try to let yourself take a few damage points?
Yeah, that's true. But then, you know, as we know that Hanlocks have a lot of bursts, especially if they're playing Power Overwhelming. I mean, even without playing Power Overwhelming, we see Tiddler has like 11 damage on his hand. So 11 plus 8 is a lot of damage.
Farseer is such a tricky play. Like,
Yeah.
You want to develop the board, but you don't want to heal yourself.
You don't want to heal yourself, but at the same time, the right time.
You're aware of what's the implications, too. And you're at 24 health. That's so close to the maximum, and yet you're afraid of dying.
Yeah. You're playing with the devil, really. You want to be low, but you don't want to die.
Yeah, I just stopped this game.
I think the Farseer does.
Oh wow,
Keep
doesn't
the
want it.
healing away.
What about healing your opponents?
We've seen
We
that
saw that
too,
before, yeah.
but
We saw
when he
that.
has a Molten Giant out already, it's, you know, usually you heal to avoid that scenario. But he gets it anyways. I think it has a much lower impact.
Oh, Tiddler is not going to play the Twilight Drake. With so many cards, he's probably thinking that an Al Morlico is a possibility.
I think both players are just respecting the amount of burst that's present in this deck. I mean, look at this hand. If he didn't clear, that was been crazy amounts of damage.
Now it's starting to get really tight because he still doesn't have a way to kill off that
A
giant.
Siphon Soul would be good, but no.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
He can't clear the giants.
No.
Can't
Well, he
clear-
can.
He
with
double
2 Soulfire.
Double Soulfire.
Double Soulfire, but
Oh no, you're gonna lose Jiraxis in the process though. But as we know.
Well, hold on. If he plays this giant, Tiddler has the big game Hunter, and then he also has the Hellfire and 2 Soulfires, so he does have the damage to kill him. Potentially, right?
Potentially.
and
Does he go for it?
does he go for a double Soulfire, Hellfire, Big and Hunter?
Does he need it? Oh, he does. He does need to do exactly that.
Okay.
He's
I think we
just
copied
super
that
quick.
first.
Yeah, he's not taking a risk.
It's even better.
Oh, he might take the
Oh,
risk
he
now.
might take the risk here.
I mean, it's
I mean, it's just a coin flip there to win the game from this point on.
Wait.
How can you resist?
But is it weird that he didn't do that first before deciding to do that?
He's
True,
not
to
going for it.
maximize his odds.
Yeah,
He's playing it so safe. He
Yeah.
says, I don't want to lose
He
it
wants
for no
to hold.
reason.
He wants to hold.
Well, he can play it very safe. Like, the only card that's winning versus him right now is Shadow Flame, and he's seen one already.
And you're up 2 games. How much rigidity does it take to like hold back and not just I'm gonna win right now, right? Oh,
I mean,
man.
that
The
right
patience.
there, the difference between top 4 and $15,000 compared to $50,000 guaranteed is a $35,000 restraint. Like
Yeah.
that takes a lot of discipline. Let me tell you.
You have like what 10% chance of actually failing, so 90% chance to get 35K right there. Jeez.
Oh, he does
Leroy.
run Leroy.
There is a
Wow,
Leroy.
the amount of
So
burst.
he has. Does he have a way to clear here?
I don't think so. He needed the Shadow Flame to be able to clear his board.
Oh man. So is this it?
That might be it.
No, I guess
Well,
you have to
I mean,
Siphon
you
Soul.
do have just ways to deal with the board.
Yeah, the Siphon Soul and double Soulfire a giant.
Oh man.
But then still, Tiddler can
And that's
Hellfire, double
assuming
Soulfire.
Soulfire, just discard the other Soulfire.
All right, he's
Oh,
going
man.
for it. He has to clear the board in here.
How brutal is this?
Well, okay. I mean, Kranich,
This is
I think
tough.
he's calculating if there's any way out. His opponent has 12 damage on board. You have to clear this out.
Or at least
Soulfire,
like...
There's no ways around it.
BGH at least. Soulfire the BGH at least. Do it. Do it. All right.
Okay.
Oh, last second. All right. So now you're offered another opportunity to, you know, go for the kill.
It's still a possibility for Tiddler to get the kill.
Yeah.
If he's willing to part with his second Soulfire.
It is so funny because it was like you were offered 90%, and now you're being offered like a 70%. You take the 70%.
Well, let's see. If he uses Hellfire, there's 6 cards remaining. And he uses one. That's a 20%
So it's
chance.
20%. So
20% chance to discard.
So 80%, yeah, something like that. But then if you don't take the 80%
I
now,
like those odds, honestly.
it might be even worse later on.
Well, on the other hand, he is in the lead here, so he can just attack and play
True.
Wolfjan as well.
But at the same time, there's so much burst on the other end.
Oh my god.
He got a Mountain Giant, so he's just going to develop the board.
He does have taunt. If Kranich draws Shadow Flame, that would be huge. That would be huge. Does help? No.
No, that's a Hellfire.
He's got 17 points of damage.
He's actually one damage off lethal.
Kranich is 1 damage off
Wow.
lethal.
This is crazy.
Tiddler's patience may have just, you know.
I mean,
blown
I
in
don't
the face,
think it's
'cause-
backfired just yet.
Not backfired yet. It's looking okay, but 1 damage. Imagine if he like tapped 1 more time throughout the course of the game, he would have been dead.
And
This game is
Kranich
so
can't,
close.
he can't life tap in Shadow Flame, right, with this Leroy?
No. Unless you draw to another power overwhelming.
Is he forced to play Leroy as a removal card?
Oh, you don't want to do that, do you?
Yeah, but you're dead if you don't.
So Leroy, Hellfire, Soulfire, and
Yeah.
pray that you keep Jiraxis, because
I mean-
Jiraxis is the only thing that
8-4. I mean, your opponent didn't take the risk before. Oh, but he's dead with Hellfire. And
Right.
Soulfire.
I mean-
so so maybe just the Giant and Soulfire on the Molten.
This is tough. Kranich on the verge of elimination.
Oh, he sees it. He sees it. Very nice.
and discards Hellfire. I mean, honestly, that's not that bad considering he has Leroy first. But once again, presented with the chance of
Another
killing his
chance.
opponent if he wants to take the chance with the
Yeah.
second Soulfire.
Back up to 1 and 6 again.
He's not taking it again.
Tiddler
He doesn't want to
Celestial.
take it again.
How safe can you be?
Wow.
Well, I have to tell you, you can be as safe as you want if you're on the road to become the world champion.
That's true.
Yep, he wants to eliminate any possibilities of him throwing away his lead. But, I mean, I still don't see a way for Kranich to clear the woods here.
I don't see any way right
His
now.
Leroy and Power Overwhelming are just sitting there, and he has to go for Jiraxis. But that's going to do it, and Tiddler Celestial will go to the grand finals with a 3-0 sweep with his hand lock.
That
Wow.
patience really paid off.
He
huh?
is going to use the Soulfire
crazy.
now, right? Right? Or only
No,
Hellfire?
you use
He uses
Jiraxis to
Hellfire?
kill him.
Oh.
You do it.
You face Jiraxis. Mistake.
Wow.
Lord of the Burning Legion.
Nice. Mistake. I love it.
Oh, man.
We have ourselves the first finalist for the World Championship, and it is Tiddler Celestial from China.
So
Oh,
well
man.
played. So well played.
Tiddler again in the final of the major tournaments.
Man.
This guy is just amazing.
I am so impressed.
Well played, and lots of respect between these two Asian players. And as much as Tiddler also played well, Kranich gave a performance of a lifetime. Coming all the way from Korea, one more time, the semifinalists from Korea. Give it up for Kranich.
Oh my god, this Morgan deck, he was so short of the killing Tiddler Celestial there, and then again the Warlock Mirror, the handlock with Leroy and having 16 points of damage against 17 points of health, or 17 against 18. I don't even remember, but 1 damage of lethal, 1 damage of advancing to the final. Tough.
So
but,
much discipline to not go for that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a lot of people would just, that's what it is. You're talking about. It's like an easy chance to just win. You're up 2-0. Why not take a chance? That's the win. But he says, you know what? I'm just going to play very systematic academically and not give up my lead. I think Tiddler played that very by the book. I don't really think it's a mistake at all to hold on to those cards.
oh,
And
certainly.
we saw that he was actually 1 point off of actually dying. It was really, really close.
It was close.
on the edge.
He almost went too safe, but
Yeah.
until it's actually a game-ending decision, it's okay.
That's the right play then.